A couple of months ago, I used my non-prescription CGM from Levels to see how plain popcorn would affect my blood sugar level. The results were very poor. It shot my blood sugar straight up and then just as quickly dropped the level to a point lower than my starting point. Sharing that result spurred a lot of questions about buttered popcorn. Since butter is pure fat, which is a nutrient that does not spike blood sugar, would adding butter to the popcorn make it a better snack for blood sugar control? Well, I ran the test. It should be better, right? It was not what I expected. Here are the results. I mentioned that I used a non-prescription CGM from Levels to analyze my blood sugar levels. CGM stands for Continuous Glucose Monitor. It's a device that you attach to your skin, typically your upper arm or belly. It measures the fluids around your cells called interstitial fluid to gauge your blood glucose or blood sugar levels. The Levels app then gives you continual updates of your glucose level with only a few minutes delay. Levels is sponsoring this video. They make it possible for people without diabetes to get a CGM and utilize it as a preventative tool. One of the hallmarks of type 2 diabetes is elevated blood glucose levels. Being able to monitor your blood glucose on a daily basis without a finger prick makes it easy to watch your daily trends and make adjustments to potentially reduce your risk of developing the disease. I have discussed how Levels makes getting a CGM without a prescription possible and the costs involved in a previous video that I will link to in the description area. If you're interested in using a CGM to monitor your blood sugar at home, you can click on my link in the video description area, levels.link/Dr. Becky, which gives you an additional 2 free months of the Levels membership. Now, when I first tested plain popcorn, I ate a 200-calorie portion. The reason I did that was because I was doing a side-by-side comparison of popular snacks. Plain popcorn did not perform well. It caused an immediate, very steep spike of 150 points followed by a crash that dropped me 23 milligrams per deciliter lower than I was before eating it. That was not a favorable response. Levels assigned the plain popcorn snack a 1 out of 10, which is a very poor blood sugar score. Why did it perform so poorly? Well, popcorn is a whole grain snack, which I think for many people makes it seem like it should therefore be a high fiber snack. However, the 200-calorie portion of popcorn contained only 7.5 grams of fiber and over 40 grams of carbohydrates. So its fiber to carb ratio is not strong at about a 1:5 ratio. Plain popcorn is also a low-fat snack with a fairly modest amount of protein. And that macronutrient breakdown helps us understand the blood sugar response. We know that carbohydrates, especially low-fiber carbs, cause a quick and steep rise in blood sugar. Dietary fat has little or no blood sugar effect, and protein causes a moderate rise. Because plain popcorn is high in carbohydrates with a so-so fiber to carb ratio and relatively low amounts of fat and protein, it made sense that plain popcorn digested quickly and spiked my blood sugar. But after I shared those test results, many people asked what would happen if you added butter to the popcorn. It's a good question because many people do, and consuming butter, which is pure fat, does not cause a rise in blood sugar. So I ran the test. A 200-calorie serving of plain popcorn worked out to be 6.5 cups. I wanted to keep 200 calories as my standard for comparison, so I cut the volume of popcorn in half and added 1 tablespoon of melted butter. Now, this is obviously not a formal lab study, but I kept as many variables as possible constant on testing days. Specifically, I ate the snacks at 7 o'clock in the morning after an overnight fast. I did drink black coffee, but did not exercise during the 2-hour testing period. On the testing morning, I snapped a picture of the buttered popcorn to log it onto my Levels app and went on with my usual activities as the app analyzed my blood sugar response for me. When 2 hours had passed, I was very surprised to see that the buttered popcorn snack received a score of 1 out of 10, which is the same very poor score as plain popcorn. Did not cause as dramatic of a spike compared to plain popcorn, but it did cause a spike followed by a drop below my starting point. To all of you popcorn lovers out there, I am sorry that it had to be this way. I thought that cutting the carbs in half and replacing them with fat would cause much more blood sugar stability than it did. If we look at the comparison, we see that the buttered popcorn response, shown in blue, was not as pronounced as the response to plain popcorn. However, it was not great, and I will discuss the problems in a moment. But first, let's focus on blood sugar. When calories are held constant, is buttered popcorn better for blood sugar than plain? You can argue that yes, it is. If that is the only goal, then cutting the carbohydrates, which are the popcorn, in half and adding butter will create less of an initial blood sugar response. Plain popcorn shot my blood sugar up by 150 milligrams per deciliter. The rise after eating buttered popcorn was just under half of that, causing a 70-point rise. However, your immediate blood sugar response to a single food is not the only determining factor for healthy snacking. If you have a bigger goal, like weight loss or long-term blood sugar regulation, adding butter to your popcorn will not improve much. Here are the challenges with buttered popcorn. First, it tastes better. And usually we also add salt. That gives us a snack with the proven addictive combination of sugar, fat, and salt. That combo sets off appetite alarm bells throughout your body, which I can attest to. I ate 200 calories of buttered popcorn for breakfast and could have easily eaten another serving or more. That would have been fun in the moment, but given me many more calories than my body needed, creating an uphill battle when it comes to weight control. Second, quick digesting carbs plus fat is a good recipe for fat storage. Carbs are easy energy that quickly move from your digestive tract to your bloodstream. That quick dose of sugar tells the pancreas to release insulin, so those high energy sugar molecules get moved into your cells ASAP. Dietary fat is slow to digest, breaking down and trickling energy into your blood over time. Having this combo of quick and slow digesting energy is fine if you're doing something physically taxing. However, when do we typically eat popcorn? If you're eating buttered popcorn on the couch as you watch a movie, your body does not need all of that energy. When calories are taken into consideration, buttering popcorn will blunt the initial insulin spike, but insulin is still secreted to move the sugar from the snack out of your blood. If you have no immediate need for energy and the limited glucose storage units are full, the excess gets converted to fat. And that's not the end of the story. Digestion is not over. By the time those quick-burning carbs are absorbed, the dietary fat from the butter is making its way into the bloodstream. That energy is not immediately needed, so it gets stored as body fat. And even if we go beyond weight loss, combining quick digesting carbohydrates and fat, as we see with popcorn and butter, is not a long-term strategy for better health. What happens in that 2-hour period after eating is valuable to know. However, better health comes from what happens over the course of days and weeks. You want to see a stable blood sugar level where you spend most of your day between 70 to 130 milligrams per deciliter. Levels is not meant to be a definitive test for insulin resistance or other blood sugar conditions. However, if you see your blood sugar stay high or bounce up and down at a higher than normal level, it may indicate that insulin is having a tough time doing its job. What we see from this test is that plain popcorn does not contain enough fiber, fat, and protein to slow the digestion of the carbohydrates that it has. For me, that caused a rapid blood sugar rise and fall. Cutting the carbohydrates in half and adding fat slowed digestion and blunted the blood sugar response, but did not negate the rise and fall. The bottom line is this: if minimizing blood sugar spikes is your top priority, adding butter or another fat like olive oil to your popcorn is better. However, if you have an additional goal, such as weight loss or improving long-term blood sugar regulation, you're not doing yourself any favors by adding butter. And 2 closing thoughts. First, these are my results. Blood sugar levels depend a lot on your metabolic health, which is unique to every individual. So the results I get will not be the same for everyone. Also, as we see from this popcorn test, combining foods changes how your body handles them. That is why it is valuable to monitor your blood sugar level. There are several ways to do this. You can pick up a blood glucose monitor at your local pharmacy and test your blood with a finger prick. You can ask your doctor to prescribe a CGM, or you can join Levels and get CGM sent to you with or without a prescription. If you'd like to get Levels for yourself, you can do so online. Your first purchase will include a 1-month supply of continuous glucose monitors and a 12-month software membership. And again, if you go to levels.link/Dr. Becky, Levels is offering an additional 2 free months of their annual membership. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.